What's going on, guys? It's your host of the New Equity Connections podcast, Ian Starkey. Today I'm sitting down with a great friend of mine and an absolute killer, T-Boss, Tyler.Bossetti, the man, the myth, the legend, dude. This guy, not only did he help me wipe my credit report clean about a year ago, but dude, he's been inspiring me. Him and his business partner have been inspiring me for a long time, and I'm really grateful to have him on the show. Thanks for coming on, Tyler.
Thank you, Ian. Really, just at that cool, unique time. It was kind of like when we met down there in Austin for Tim Bratz's event, but just making that transition into just like the smaller deals, right? Like just value add 1 to 10 units, kind of like the hustle and bustle real estate investor, if you will, into operating as like a legitimate, let's start scaling, right? Let's start getting into these bigger apartment deals. And really the most exciting thing that we have in the pipeline right now is the first development. So we are about 3 weeks out from closing on the land. It's going to be a $30 million project. Phase one is going to be building about 30 to 40 townhomes. And then phase two is going to be 115 plus, depending on what the exact site plans come back as and whatnot. But yeah, it's going to be a 150 plus unit, like actual, development from land. So definitely learned a lot and going to continue to learn a lot at that. I think what is like that cool, like you said, rookie stage of like doing that first true deal, right? There's like an art to doing the first deal, whether it's a single family home that's buy and hold or fix and flip. We're like in that art of that first deal of the development side. So on top of that, we're doing some smaller ones, like typical, hey, let's buy this property at 123 Main Street, Burr strategy, blah, blah, blah. Really trying to get out away from that, really trying to get into, hey, we're buying this 50 unit, right? We're turning it and doing bigger developments is the focus.
Absolutely, dude. And the thing with those bigger developments, they're awesome. I mean, it's a huge check with a lot of zeros on it. But I mean, while you have those working on, if you can, and not necessarily if you have to, but if you find a single family house, I mean, dude, I literally just put a single family under contract an hour ago, and
yeah,
it's about a 15-minute drive from an RV park that we're looking to develop as well. That RV park, we've got like a 90-day feasibility period on it. We're in day, I think, 40 to this day, and got contractors lined up, got some things lined up. Now it's going to be basically hitting up the banks, we have a fund that we're going to work with, so circling back with them. But I mean, those bigger projects, they take a while, man. And sometimes, especially with new development, like what you're putting together, dude, that's colossal. And it's a long, dark road sometimes, man, with no paycheck coming back. You're like,
yeah, you're totally right. And I'll obviously shed some light on it, but like, I think I'm super grateful and lucky, right? Because we know what luck means. It just means putting in fucking work and sweat equity to take the paycheck in 10 years versus in 10 days. But it's not like developments are not for everyone. It doesn't fit a lot of people's business model. Like you have to be producing income, but we've obviously built something super unique with 0% having our consulting programs, having really just a good grip on my personal finances and investments, really my whole life. And so I have things coming in is essentially what I'm saying, right? Where like I am willing and able to go, eat nothing on this deal. And it's going to take us a year and a half, 2 years. And then I can blink and be like, okay, this one project alone, not to mention the other, 10 developments I hopefully get in the pipeline in the next 2 years, now, okay, I can eat, 7 figures off this deal. But obviously I think that I call it two different vehicles I'm trying to build in real estate, an income vehicle and a wealth vehicle. The income vehicle is, okay, that's prime location, Columbus. No brainer. Don't have to touch my cash. I'll put in some sweat equity for 90 days. It's going to crush on Airbnb. I make 3 to 5K a month on that one, let alone these dozens of others. And then this 50 unit apartment complex, we can be in and out of it in 12 months. But then the wealth builder, in my opinion, where you can make impact, where you can leave a brand, where you can build is those developments. Right. And that's where, we'll see how it goes. Right. Got to do it first. So.
Dude, no, and you made an excellent point, man. Is like you have to have a vehicle. You have to have a steady check coming in if you're going to take down these big deals, because like I alluded to earlier, it can be a long road. Those big developments, they can be a long road, and it can be a long fun road if you have money coming in and you need a cash call. All right, 10 grand, got it. 50 grand, got it. But if you don't necessarily have the full foundation put together, and when I think of a foundation as a real estate investor developer, you need to have cash flow. Either that's from other properties, from other
Yeah.
businesses, which you and, man, I want to shout out Jeff real quick. You and Jeff have built an incredible brand at 0%. Love what y'all are doing over there. That's how I actually found out about you, man. It's about, I think, a year ago. I came on 0% because I was like, credit cards, what are these? How do these work?
Yeah. 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 And that's it right there, right? Like that's our whole philosophy, is teaching people how to get access to other people's money to solve, obviously getting rid of people's high interest debt while they're paycheck to paycheck, getting them. But ultimately what we're doing is we're trying to get people to not be savers. We're trying to get them to produce more income. Businesses fail because they obviously use their own cash, but when they use their own cash, what they're doing is they're running into ultimately the key of it all, and that's cash flow. So like whenever you can create cash flow for people, or your investment vehicle creates cash flow, it's essentially impossible to lose, right? It's like taking profit every day. It's like, well, it's impossible to go broke if you're taking profit every day. So that's what I focused on heavily the last couple of years was, all right, let's just produce income vehicles. Now we can take calculated risk where, this is a $30 million project, right? So like, that's cool and all, but I want to be doing $300 million projects. And if this first one's not done right, I'm going to learn, right? I'm not going to know everything, and that's going to be on every deal. But it was that analogy. I literally heard from Tim at the event. He's like, well, my mindset shifted. It literally shifted mine on the spot. He's like, I wanted a quarter of a watermelon versus 100% of a grape. So maybe in the short term, hey, I had to own everything because I had to produce that income. Now I'm in a spot where I could retire forever right now and be good, but that's not what I want. Now I'm going for like 100,000 units, a million, just absurd numbers, right? But you can only do that if the foundation is built correctly.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And for those who don't know, give me a little background about you, man. How old are you? Where are you from? When did you start on this journey? Tell me about that.
Yeah, sometimes I feel 15, sometimes I feel 95, but I'm 27 years old. I live in Columbus, Ohio. Originally from a really small town, Mechanicsburg, Ohio. It's around like 1,000 people population. Graduated with like 60 to 70 kids in my class. I always forget the exact number. But yeah, just a little bit about my journey and really where I'm sitting at today here in Columbus is grew up with, quite a bit of adversity. Life wasn't, horrific by any means, but I lost my father when I was 8 years old, and loved sports growing up. So I always had like this competitive nature, a lot of, I think, pent up anger, if you will, about not really having like a father figure and just struggles growing up. Watched my mom work multiple jobs. She had at least 2 jobs, working 12, 14 hours a day when I was a kid. Again, we were heavily involved in sports. So there was that competitive nature in our household. And where things really, I think, started clicking and shifting for me, and I share it quite often on social media, is through running. I was the fat kid growing up. I was kind of good at sports, but I was never good as my siblings. And I always felt like I was like falling short of everything I did. And through running, literally just one day, running around the track, it was my freshman year in high school. I just started running around the track one day. I'm like, I'm going to start working out, right? Let's see how this goes. Ran like one lap, probably fainted. And as we kind of speed things up, the last couple of years in high school, I really fell in love with like running on the treadmill, just staring at my basement wall, right? And like, it was just me versus me. And I started like naturally taking things out of my environment. Friends that were, I was like the popular kid, right? Like at all the parties in freshman year, hanging out with the seniors, skipping school. And but like, I mean, I was never like failing classes. I was always getting C's and B's and some A's, right? But then I really just like learned the focus game of like eliminating the toxic people and not doing the things that you're not supposed to be doing, going to the places you shouldn't be going. So I found that passion through running, and kind of very similar mindset to like David Goggins, to be quite honest with you. So if people ever watch his crazy videos, that's kind of how I think when I'm running and putting in work sometimes. And went to Ohio State. So let me back up. I wanted to run in college, and I was going to actually walk on at Wright State University. It's a small D1 school in Dayton. Quickly realized, yeah, that's not gonna work for me. I had to work throughout college, and had multiple jobs throughout college to pay for school. Ended up hating Wright State. Like the first literally like weekend I think I was there, I was like, yeah, this is stupid. I don't want to be here. Just reminded me of like small town, small thinking. I just needed something bigger. And so I decided to transfer to Ohio State. Transferred to Ohio State, loved it. Had way too much fun when I first went there. I went on academic probation, had like a 1.2 GPA or something ridiculous.
There we go.
And I had too much fun.
Yeah.
And I turned it back around right away. Like I focused again, right? Got it out of my system. Still had a lot of fun. Decided to drop out of Ohio State University to pursue a career in the mortgage industry, where I was at for 5 years. That's where I learned a lot about, credit, learned a lot about real estate, started making connections with realtors, and I became a loan officer. So I started learning the principles of building a business, building relationships, had phenomenal mentorship, but it still wasn't enough. I was in the middle of a 50-mile race. I just shared this the other week on my social media because it was 2-year anniversary. I was running a 50-mile race. In the middle of that race, I was just like, man, I feel like I'm not reaching my potential. And around this time is when my business partner, Jeff, was really starting to take off with his FIA program, right? And so I was one of the first 10 members in that program. And I just saw this huge opportunity in business. Like I just saw like the world with cryptocurrency, with real estate, with what we're doing right now, these things being virtual, and really just my potential. I was like, I am not going to make billions of dollars and impact millions of people's lives originating loans, right? And so during that race, it just kept popping up during the run, and I was like, man, got to make radical change. Went to the office on that Tuesday. It was literally Labor Day weekend, which is coming up here, and I met with some clients. Walked into my mentor and boss at the time, his office, was like, yo, I'm done. And basically called up Jeff and was like, all right, man, let's go. Let's make something happen. So here we are now. We have our company 0%, where we help, as you know, entrepreneurs and people really start their entrepreneurship journey and or scale their business, getting access to capital, getting access to strategic financing and other people's money to scale their business, to invest into e-com, invest into crypto, invest into real estate. And a big focus of mine is building out our real estate portfolio. So hopefully that gives you a 30,000 foot view there of what I have going on.
No, that's awesome. And when you quit and you called up Jeff, was he like, wait, what? You want to do what? Or were y'all already planning that joint?
Yeah. We were kind of planning it. Again, this was like really early stage where he was really building like his personal brand up to this point. And he had just released that FIA program. And so with joining other mastermind programs and coaches and whatnot, our paths just like kept intertwining. And I was just I followed his journey from like the moment he quit his job at Chase Bank and was just the very, very beginning. Like he had like probably a few hundred followers, you know what I mean? And he's from Columbus. So yeah, I after that race, I really kind of like talked through the situation with like my significant other, with some friends, some coaches, and all of them like for weeks at this point, if not months, because it was already kind of in my mind where like, yo, you just need to burn the ships, right? Like you just need to go take a leap of faith. And so I told Jeff ahead of time, I'm like, hey, I'm thinking that, I can come onto the team. At this point, I didn't care like if I was an employee, I didn't care about the labels. I just needed out of originated loans. Like I knew how to make money. I knew how to invest. I knew how to do certain things. But I'm all about bringing value to people first, right? So that was my intention, is like, yo, dude, I just want to be around you, what you're building, and I want to bring value because I think there's major areas that we can capitalize on. And he agreed. He's like, yeah, dude, we'll figure it out. It's kind of go situation. He just had a few VAs on his team, and that's what we're doing, right? Like we're still young guys, but we're super passionate. We're, I can feel the energy every time we're around each other. Like we're building something bigger than ourselves, and so. That's the fun part, right? That's where things become a lot easier, is when you realize like, okay, my personal finances and my investments are good. Like I was saying, I could retire right now. I'm good, right? That's where it becomes fun. That's where there's less friction. Hey, I don't give a shit if you want to be a consulting client or not. I know we'll get you results if you do X, Y, Z. Hey, if you want to invest with us into our deals, great. If you don't care either. So, little long-winded answer there to your question, but yeah, we kind of had the details if you wish, or if you were, lined up.
No, dude, no, and long-winded. That's exactly what I want to get out of you, man. I want to get everything out. I want my listeners. I want everyone who's going to see this podcast either tomorrow or 5 years from now. I want them to hear your story. I want them to feel what you were feeling, dude. And I feel the passion. I can see it coming out of you when you talk about it, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think, like I was saying earlier, I think that anytime I listen to a book or I listen to someone's podcast or I watch, if I consume, I want to get like one thing out of it. That's all I care about. Right. Like if
Mhm.
I'm speaking on stage, I sometimes will tell people like, hey, if there's anything I say the next 2 hours, I hope you just get at least one thing. I may
Mhm.
say 50 things, but at least get one thing. I think the one thing, that I could shed light on up to this point is like the clarity piece, just getting super clear on, I made that leap when I was
Mhm.
clear that I knew this loan origination career was not for me.
Yeah.
Right. Because when you have clarity, I know you don't need to know like step 5, 6, 7, 8. That's analysis paralysis when people don't know what's going to happen. It's like this first development deal I have. Like I have no fucking clue what's going to be going on with this project in a year. But oh well,
Yeah.
let's just take each day at a time. So, but when you have at least some clarity on the front end of, okay, I'm going to make this decision, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, then you have confidence. Confidence will bleed through, and people can feel confidence, in my opinion.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let's talk about that development deal. So you said I'm sorry. It was 150 apartment units or townhomes.
Yeah, so it's going to be like 150 plus units based on what we are doing due diligence on right now.
Okay.
Phase one is going to be about 30 to 40 townhomes, and then phase two is going to be the apartment complex. There's going to be some retail on the bottom,
Okay.
and then right now we're projected about 115 units for that apartment complex.
That's
So
beautiful, man. That's huge. That
yeah,
how did you are you still have you closed? Are you shovel ready? I mean, where are you at in the process right now?
yeah. I wish we were shovel ready. Not quite
Yeah.
yet. We were talking earlier about developments definitely take time, it takes energy, and ultimately, like anything great, it takes people.
Hmm.
So we are about 3 weeks away. Yeah, about 3 weeks away from closing on the land,
Hmm.
and we're finishing up due diligence right now. So getting the land titled and all that nonsense on the back end, getting site plans with the city, all that fun stuff. So yeah, we'll be about 3 weeks out from closing, locking in financing, raising the capital, really just making sure that um, you know, I don't know what my lawyer calls it something. So I'm gonna ruin it here. But like at the end of the day, if the soil is not buildable, then deal doesn't make sense. So we're going through all that nonsense right now, and then we're projected to break ground in spring of next year.
Hmm. Okay. And that's in Columbus. Where's it located?
Central Ohio. It's a town called Newark, Ohio. It's in a pretty, most markets are on fire right now.
Mhm.
Just like a little suburb about 30 minutes away from Columbus.
Awesome, man. Awesome. 2027 putting together a $30 million deal. That's awesome, dude. That fires me up. That's
Yeah,
huge. So
yeah,
so
it's exciting, but uh,
a lot of
many
money.
more in the pipeline.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So right now, so your part is 0%. You're a partner in that. You also have your own real estate investments, developments. Kind of what does a day look like for you, Tyler? Tell the people what it looks like. I mean, you got a lot of plates spinning. You have ownership in each one, so it's not like you're actively like doing a lot some days, but just paint a picture of what a day could look like for you.
Yeah, phenomenal question, man. I big believer in controlling like the start and finish of your day, right?
Hmm.
Because you know, life in general, no matter if you have no job at all or whether you're running a multi-billion-dollar company, like things just happen in between, right? So that's
Yeah.
one thing I try to remind myself of is what can I do today in the morning and the evening to set myself up for success throughout the day and set myself up for success the following day. So for me in the morning is usually wake up call, is around like 6 to 7 o'clock, just depends on what time I go to bed. Like a lot of different factors, right? But wake up, I'll go through like a specific morning routine, listen to an audiobook, go to the gym, get some sunlight, stretch, try to get a little bit of meditation in or audiobook in, right? Or all the above. And then really the day is not, I wouldn't say sporadic, but every day can be a little bit different, right? I
Mhm.
have certain meetings on these specific days. I'm filming content on these specific days. I'm deciding to do, podcasts on these specific days. And then the evening, same set routine, right? I make sure that I do my best to go into the sauna, ice cold plunge, turning off blue light around 8 p.m. and getting into bed and getting off my phone at least 45 days before bed, tracking my sleep on this little ring here. So in my opinion, what everyone can do a better job of, myself included, every single day is how can we control our morning? How can we control our evening? And then in between, how can we just be a master of consistency of only doing 2 to 3 things? And what I mean by that is, number one, a master of capital. What can I do today to improve people around me, to improve my efficiency of time? And lastly, money, right? I believe in people, time, and money. So if I can just do something in those 3 areas and produce, right? Like I think that content, the day and age that we live in now, if you can produce quality content for people that can get some value from it, you're likely going to start making quite a bit of money.
Dude, yeah, and I'll say, I think that is a great takeaway. And seriously, all those watching, definitely having a morning and an evening routine it's life changing. I mean, I started incorporating a morning routine a couple years ago. Wasn't very consistent. I joined a group earlier this year that really pushes it. Wake Up Wealthy. I think you were in that as well, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Wake Up Wealthy.
Yeah. Phenomenal program.
Oh yeah, great program. So I'll drop a link to them in the description. Check it out. But what was I gonna say?
Yeah, man, that's a great point. That's what I learned from a lot of what I learned from Brody and Julian and that whole community is, especially men. Like, I mean, I think men are like turning into little bitches in our day and age, but then also I think that like men are also scared to be powerful with other men. They also think that it's like you are a bitch if you are vulnerable with other guys, right? So, entrepreneurship stuff, right? There's a lot of crash and burn. Most entrepreneurs fail for a reason. And it really does come down to their core principle of working on your mind, your body, your spirit, your business. So how can you just not overcomplicate things, have fun in the process? And if you walk away and you say, hey, I worked out today, I filmed some content, I had a great conversation with my boy Ian, I was able to chat with our team, make sure that the needle is moving forward. I think that people are always trying to look for like that big thing, right? It's like, oh, that $30 million development. It's like, no, this is taking a decade. The more and more I reflect on this is taking a decade of day in and day out connection with people, doing the right thing, raising money, whether it's $10 or $10 million, right? It's just the nuances, right? We all know what we need to do. We know that consistency wins. And the big stuff will happen in due time. So.
Absolutely, man. That's a great way to put it. And yeah, I mean, it's consistently putting value, consistently. I think of it as like chopping out a tree. If you keep chopping away, whether that's cold calling brokers, cold calling owners, meeting with investors, if you consistently keep making an effort towards that big goal, eventually, before you know it, you're going to achieve it. You're going to achieve a lot more than if you just aim for the moon and don't even make past the stratosphere. It's consistent effort, man. It's consistency.
And I think just being, a little bit more mindful about it too. Like what I'm doing right now, I like, 5 years ago was like, oh my God, dude, like that's what I'll be doing when I'm 80 years old. You know what I mean? So it's just all relative. Like if you're making 50K a day or 50K a second or whatever that fluff is that we all make up and see, it's like, it's all relative. So I think coming back to that clarity, what are you actually trying to do? Right? Living by these set values, living by this mission of what you're trying to serve. All the other stuff is just fluff at the end of the day.
And what would you say is what's the mission you're trying to serve? What is the mission? What's the goal for you long term? Is it to make a lot of money, to make a big impact? I mean, what's the main driving force for you that gets you fired up every day, gets you going every single day?
Yeah, I think the big mission that Tyler.Bossetti is trying to push is proving myself right. I live with a chip on my shoulder, with a good mentality about it, with like, hey, I'm not trying to prove anyone wrong. I'm trying to prove myself right. And so if you get my way, good luck. And, our mission at 0% specifically is to help 100,000 people become financially independent, right? In my mind, that's already happened. right? Like that's already happened. But proving myself right to say, yes, I can build a multi-billion-dollar fund that pays millions of investors, that puts my family and generations to come to be set up forever, to show them how to operate a business, to show them how to impact others, to show them how, like, the reason why I had to move this podcast back is because I was grabbing a late lunch and I was sitting there drinking my bone broth and waiting for my food to come. And I was like, man, this place is really cool, because they had like this great environment and atmosphere, and everyone was lively, and you could just tell like the environment was phenomenal. I was like, this is what I want to create everywhere, right? Like the impact, and going through, like you went through Wake Up Wealthy and their program, right? How you can work with like plant medicine, and just how can we impact our lives to help other impact their own life through their mindset, through their business, through their income, through spirituality. And so if we want to get measurable with it, it's like, hey, we want to help 100,000 people reach financial independence so they can do whatever they want with their time, their energy, and they don't have to listen to anyone, right? But I also, at the end of the day, my mission is to prove myself right, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. It's not, and I like that. It's not prove others wrong. It's prove yourself right. And so many people, I think they limit themselves because they put this big barrier that they say, no, they hate me. They don't want to, no, dude, nobody cares. Seriously, nobody cares if you make $1 million a month or if you make $1,000 a month. Nobody cares. Okay.
Yeah, it's all false.
But they do care. They do care if you can add value to them. If you can add value to someone, either through being a friend, teaching them something, helping them wipe their credit card debt, helping them build credit, helping them create wealth, they care because that's value.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah, exactly. And one thing I really believe, because I've had to just like work through this, I think one of the biggest fears, if not the biggest fear, and maybe I just made this up. I thought I heard this on like a podcast or a book or something, but I think the number one fear is public speaking. And, I'm not like, Tony Robbins yet on stage, right? But like, this dude is fucking from outer space, but I've definitely done the work, and I'm going to continue to do the work to become the best speaker, the best content producer I can possibly be. And where I made a radical shift was, I was so worried when I was making a video, and I was like, man, but it was because I was telling myself stories like, oh, what's this person going to think? Oh, did I say it this way? Oh, I didn't pronounce that word correctly. Oh, that word actually doesn't even make sense in that fucking sentence, right? But now I start approaching it going, I'm making this video for you, not me. And if I care more about what you think about me, that means that you're insecure about yourself. And so when people make up like I say that all the time. So I love you brought that up. People are like, they make up these false ideas that people care. They don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? But you care about what they think because you're insecure about yourself.
Yeah, man. And, realizing that it definitely helped me kind of, help me personally remove some people and bring more people in, bring more people into my tribe and kind of get some people out is, you pay attention to things, subtle things pick up, and, it's very important who you surround yourself with, what kind of energy you bring around you, because it will affect you positively or negatively. If you surround yourself with winners, positive, abundantly minded people, you're probably going to do incredible things together or have a great time together doing great things. If you surround yourself with, someone constantly, people who are, putting others down, putting themselves down, or, think the world's out to get them, or just have that, it affects you. So it's.
Yeah. One thing I did that, especially when I was in the mortgage industry, I remember I went to like my first true mastermind event. I joined Wake Up Wealthy. I started paying for these coaches and started doing this other type of work right on the side. And one thing I started noticing, like where I really started auditing my environment of people, was the people that were in the mortgage industry and in that office when it was behind closed doors, they had the same fucking problems they had 6 months ago, right? With their wife, with their husband, with their blah, 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 blah. And I was like, we got to start creating new problems. So if you have consistent same problems, you're the problem, not that person or thing. That's what I started realizing. And then naturally, those people weed themselves out of your life. You don't have to weed them out yourself. So that's one thing I do. myself included, is like, am I still battling the same problems internally and externally? Because maybe I'm the problem, right? Or no, I'm trying to create new problems, and
Mhm.
hopefully the people around me are trying to create new problems as well.
Dude, and it takes a lot of strength, a lot of ownership, and a lot of vulnerability to be real with yourself, to own your own problems. So many people, they'll point the finger their whole life, and they'll get
Yeah.
to whatever age they get to where they're like, dang, like, why doesn't this work? And it can work, but you have to get out of your own way. You have to take ownership of why you're still fat, why your business never took off, why X, Y, and Z, because this world is not set up for you to lose. Especially in this time, in this day and time, dude, it is so easy to do anything you want to do, whether it's make money, get fit, travel the world. It's whatever you want.
Yeah.
If you just set your intention, you will get it. That's what's insane.
Yeah. My grandpa, shout out to Grandpa.Bossetti here. He told me years ago, he said, it's the best of times and it's the worst of times. Right. So we reflect back on humanity, and he's totally right. I like, it literally light bulb went off like a year ago. He said it to me like for the 800th time. It's the best of times. It's the worst of times. Like, what the fuck is he saying to me right now? And, we
Yeah.
look back at the depression, 100 years ago. We look back at World War I, World War II. We look at COVID. Dude, it's the best of times and worst of times, right? Like it's, some people, their life exploded, their business exploded because of COVID. Some people, their life went into shambles. But if I say that quote, it's the best of times and worst of times, and your subconscious mind and or the first thing you think about is all these negative things in your life, ah, I'm the problem. I'm looking at things pessimistically.
Mhm.
Versus, hell yeah, dude. Like Bill Gates, you can control and put a chip in my arm. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. Biden can be it does not matter what the hell is going on. Like Tyler.Bossetti is going to win, because I think of things that always be in the best of times. And I agree with you. I think technically, if we want to look at data and opportunity, blah, blah, I agree. I think things are way easier now than they ever been. But
Mhm.
again, it's the best of times, worst of times. Where does your brain go? Right? Where does and if it's pessimistic, you got to work on that. You got to figure out what that problem is.
Absolutely, man. And you said it, dude. And it's like it's about the way you see it. It's about the way you react to change. I mean, this world has been very different in the past 2 years than it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And like you just said, some people took off, some people hit a rough patch. I mean, personally, I
Yep.
hit a rough patch and then I actually took off because I adjusted, I shifted. I people keep saying this phrase is going to come to me, but they tweaked their approach. And I think being able to adjust, being able to switch and change and make a halftime, third quarter, fourth quarter adjustment in your life, in your business, that's going to make the difference, and that's going to help you either propel or shrink. So
Yeah, it's like athletes,
it's
man. Like
mhm.
Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan, Michael Phelps. The 1% of the 1%, the legends of those athletes. They just tweak like one specific move during the off season, right? Like LeBron's working on one hook shot with his right hand like all summer. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so it's like, what's that one thing, right? We try to like add all these things onto our plate, and in reality, we probably need to take some things away. We probably need to simplify. We probably
Mhm.
just need to work on like one specific area.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And I want you to leave my listeners. I want you to leave everyone with one more thing. What's something you want to tell that guy or gal that's in their corporate job now, that's on the fence about partnering with their friend who they see starting to hit traction? Or starting their own company? What would you tell them right now?
Yeah. You know, it's not as hard as you need to make it out to believe. Like,
Hmm.
yes, there's good days, there's bad days. Yes, entrepreneurship hard. Yes, most people fail in entrepreneurship. But if you can just remove the emotional side of things and look at data, most people are paycheck to paycheck, and most businesses fail because of high interest debt. Right. So hey, let's take this scary topic of finance and credit and money and all this stigma that it comes with, right? Let's learn it. And it doesn't matter if you're a doctor, if you're an engineer, if you're a dropout, it doesn't matter. You can go to YouTube and watch video after video after video. You can watch my content. You can watch Ian's content. You can watch my business partner's content. There's so much more information out there than ever before, but people are scared of what they don't know. So quit being scared. Go actually take that extra time. The most successful people in the world do the work during the after hours, right? They're doing it on the weekend. They're doing it after the 9 to 5. And you can do it if you actually care, if you actually want to make change. When the pain, exceeds what you're trying to do, right? That's when you actually make change. And if we can just look at the data and say, hey, in order for me to take this leap of faith, probably need to start understanding finance and money and credit and how to use that as a tool, because everything's a tool. It's either a tool or it's a crutch, right? And so that's the first piece of advice I would give. And then also just analysis paralysis, man. Like, how many books do you need to fucking read, right? 3% of America has a library card. We could go read everything we want, right? So, be the practitioner, be the one that's actually implementing, be the one that's actually in the arena. It's easy to be the bystander. It's easy to be the one watching on the sideline and just have your opinions. But once you get in the arena, it's not as scary as you think it is.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, dude. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you for hanging out with us. And for all you interested in Tyler's course and getting invested in Tyler's deals and just getting some more T-Boss in your life, man. Because having T-Boss in your life, it fires me up, dude. Seeing the content you and Jeff made, dude, I was like, man, these are like dudes I would hang out with and drink with, man. Let me start doing this thing too, man. These guys, if they can do it, I can do it. And man,
yeah, exactly.
I look at it as a way because it fires me up, man. It fires me up seeing awesome guys doing great things, and that just makes me elevate. That makes me say, okay, stop being a little bitch, get on camera, and start telling people how to do this stuff. Seriously. So, dude, I appreciate you more than you realize.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm the underdog, man. A lot of people listening to this, they're probably the underdog as well. So, carry that with pride. Like, prove yourself right. Don't need to prove other people wrong. Just prove yourself right. Being the underdog has a lot of advantages, right? And at the end of the day, man, like you said, it's all in our head. You just got to get out of your own way.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Ian.